The notification light on my phone pulsed like a heartbeat as I opened the email. The screen illuminated my face in the dim kitchen, casting shadows across the wedding seating chart I'd just finished. Time seemed to stretch as my cousin Kayla's words sliced through the quiet evening. "You really think you can cut everyone off, Natalie? They're furious. You better fix this." My fingers gripped the phone so tightly my knuckles whitened. The wedding invitations I'd carefully addressed sat in a neat stack beside me, not one addressed to my family. The family that had spent years pretending I didn't exist, now demanding front row seats to my happiness. My name is Natalie Harrison, I'm 30, and this is the story of how I learned that sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't what you do to others, it's what you finally stop doing to yourself. Do you know what it's like to grow up surrounded by people who treat your existence like background noise? My family was loud, picture perfect, and selective. They had a rule that everyone followed, but no one said out loud. Belonging was conditional. If you didn't dress right, talk right, or make them proud, you were invisible. By 17, I'd become the family ghost, present in photos only when mom needed symmetry. I thought time would soften them. It didn't. Birthdays went by without calls. My brother's wedding came and went without an invite. Thanksgiving dinners? "Oh, we figured you were busy." Busy. That word was their velvet dismissal. When I left Ohio for a marketing job in Portland, I told myself I'd finally breathe. The distance helped. I met people who didn't need me to perform, friends who laughed too loud, neighbors who dropped off soup when I was sick, real people. Then came Liam, a man who loved quietly. He didn't ask for explanations, just honesty. When he proposed under the rain-lit bridge downtown, I said yes before he even finished the sentence. As our wedding plans unfolded, something inside me stayed cold. I couldn't shake the thought of sending invitations to the same family that had spent years pretending I didn't exist. Every RSVP would feel like charity, so I didn't send a single one. Kayla's message arrived like a detonation. Despite blocking most of my family years ago, I'd kept my email address the same for work contacts, which is how Kayla had managed to reach me. My phone immediately lit up with incoming texts from numbers I hadn't completely blocked, the secondary phones they rarely used. "Mom, you're being childish. This wedding is a chance to heal. Dad, you think you're better than us now. Brother, you'll regret this stunt." I didn't reply, but I could feel the old fear crawling back, the one that used to make me shrink, apologize, over-explain. That night, Liam found me sitting on the floor, scrolling through messages I hadn't opened. He knelt beside me, his hand brushing mine. "You don't owe anyone an invitation to your peace," he whispered. I exhaled. Maybe that's what I needed. Permission to choose myself. Still, curiosity won. I clicked open Mom's last voicemail. Her voice trembled with the practiced kind of sadness that sounds rehearsed. "Natalie, you've always made things difficult. Your father's embarrassed. If you just apologize, we could fix this before people start asking questions." Fix this. That phrase triggered something sharp inside me. They didn't want reconciliation. They wanted control, public image, a way to frame me as the rebel daughter who came crawling back. But they underestimated how much I'd changed. That night, I opened my laptop, typed out a simple email, and scheduled it for delivery on the morning of my wedding. "I forgive you, but forgiveness doesn't mean access. Some doors close quietly, others permanently. This wedding isn't revenge, it's release." The morning sun spilled across our apartment, touching the ivory lace of my wedding dress draped by the window. My phone buzzed nonstop, missed calls, voice notes, chaos. I ignored every one of them because somewhere between last night and this morning, that email had been delivered. I could almost imagine their faces at breakfast, Mom opening it first, eyes narrowing as she read my words. Liam peeked out from the kitchen, holding 2 mugs of coffee. "You good?" I smiled. "Better than I've ever been." He grinned. "Then let's go get married." The ceremony was small. 28 people under a canopy of fairy lights in a Portland garden. The air smelled of rain and roses. My best friend Rachel adjusted my veil while whispering, "You look like peace." For the first time, I believed her. But peace didn't last long. Halfway through dinner, Rachel's phone buzzed. She discreetly checked it under the table, then frowned, glanced at me, and whispered, "Natalie, your mom just posted something." My stomach knotted. Against my better judgment, I took her phone. There it was, Mom's Facebook post, a photo of me as a child captioned, "Some daughters forget who raised them. Sad day for our family, but love always wins." Within minutes, relatives flooded the comments. Cousins, aunts, even church friends pitying her, shaming me. The same people who hadn't spoken my name in years were suddenly heartbroken. Liam saw my face and whispered, "Don't let them steal your moment." I nodded, but deep down, I knew this wasn't over, because that post and the storm it unleashed forced me to make the one call that would end everything for good. The morning after our wedding, the world should have felt still, like the quiet after fireworks. Instead, my notifications looked like a battlefield. Hundreds of comments, messages, screenshots from friends saying, "Your mom's post is blowing up." Someone even tagged a local community group. Suddenly, my private wedding had become her public pity parade. I sat at the breakfast table in our apartment in my silk robe, staring at my phone like it was poison. Liam leaned on the counter, reading my expression. "She's trying to make you look like the villain," he said. I nodded. "She's always been good at rewriting stories." Then came a message from Aunt Fiona. "Natalie, people are saying you're unstable. Maybe apologize and move on. Family's all you've got." Unstable. That word hit harder than I expected. It was the same label Mom had used when I left home at 19, packing a single suitcase while she cried on the porch. Not from loss, but from losing control. I locked my phone and walked to the balcony, the air cold against my bare feet. Down below, the city hummed, normal, unaware that my childhood was trending under hashtags about ungrateful daughters. Liam came up behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist. "You don't have to fix what you didn't break." I closed my eyes. "I'm not fixing it," I said quietly. "I'm finishing it." By noon, I had made up my mind. I called a local event coordinator, someone who worked on corporate PR crises. She owed me a favor from a past project. "Hey, Sophia," I said. "You still handle social media cleanups?" "Of course," she said. "Whose mess are we erasing?" I hesitated for a beat, then smiled. "Mine, but not how you think." Because the call I made that afternoon wasn't about revenge. It was about exposure. And by the time my family realized what I'd done, their own words would bury them far deeper than mine ever could. Sophia didn't need much explanation. She'd seen my mother's post. "Classic manipulation campaign," she said, her voice dry. "If you give me a few hours, I can trace every account sharing it. We'll see who's behind the push." By late afternoon, she called back. "You might want to sit down for this." I was in the living room, wedding flowers still in vases, my veil folded neatly on the sofa. "Go ahead," I said. "It's not random. Your mom's been feeding screenshots and emails to a local blogger, one of those family gossip sites that loves drama. She sent them pictures, private stuff, and they're prepping an article." My throat went dry. "She's trying to ruin my name." Sophia's voice softened. "Not if we get ahead of it. You still have that photo collection from when she threw you out?" I did. Years ago, after Mom told people I'd walked out ungrateful, I'd saved the eviction notice she taped to my door, the text messages, the documentation of how she created false accusations against me, evidence I'd kept to protect myself if she ever escalated again. "Send them," Sophia said. "We'll build your side. Calm, factual, professional. No anger, just receipts." When I hung up, Liam was watching me. "You're really doing this?" "I'm done hiding." He nodded slowly. "Then do it right. Tell the truth. Not for them, but for you." So I did. I wrote a letter, one long, calm message, and sent it to the same blogger my mother had used. I attached my documents, timelines, and photos. I told them I wasn't asking for pity, only fairness. Within hours, the blogger replied, "We've reviewed everything. Thank you for trusting us. The story will be updated. The next morning, the headline changed. Daughter speaks out. Family lies, love, and the price of silence. By noon, the comments turned. People saw through the act. My mother's sympathy tour collapsed under the weight of her own words. And for the first time, the silence around my name wasn't shame. It was peace. By the next morning, my phone looked different, quieter. No new insults, no pity messages, just silence, the kind that felt earned. Mom, however, wasn't done. Around 9 a.m., she called from an unknown number. I let it ring out, but she left a voicemail. Her voice was brittle, trembling with fury. Natalie, you had no right. You embarrassed this family. Your father's humiliated. You'll regret this. I replayed that line twice, not because it hurt, but because it didn't. That's when I made the call, the one I'd been saving. It wasn't to Sophia or the blogger or even to Liam. It was to my lawyer, Victoria, the same woman who helped me file a harassment order years ago when Mom wouldn't stop showing up at my old apartment. Hi, Victoria, I said. It's Natalie. I need to update the terms on that old order. My family's crossed a new line. Within minutes, she pulled the digital trail. Mom's defamation posts, the public harassment, the leaked personal photos. You've got a solid case, Victoria said. This isn't family drama anymore. It's digital harassment and invasion of privacy. By noon, she drafted the legal notice, a cease and desist order warning that if my family continued their smear campaign, we'd press charges for defamation and emotional distress. I signed it electronically. She sent it straight to Mom's email with copies to my father, my brother, and Aunt Fiona. An hour later, my phone buzzed again. One text from Dad. You didn't have to go this far. I stared at it, then typed my only reply. You should have stopped her before I had to. After that, nothing. No calls, no comments, no posts, just the heavy stillness of a bridge finally burned and the faint, liberating scent of freedom on the other side. That night, Liam took my hand across the dinner table. You okay? I smiled, small, steady. For the first time in my life, I actually think I am. 2 weeks passed, and the storm around my name died out completely. The legal action Victoria had threatened was never needed. The cease and desist order had been enough to silence my family completely. The blogger's updated article had run its course, with most readers supporting my position after seeing the evidence. That's the thing about public pity. It expires fast. Mom never reached out again. Her silence didn't ache the way I expected. It felt deserved. I heard through a cousin that she deleted her social media accounts after the blogger issued a follow-up clarifying how she'd falsified messages. My father had retreated too. No apologies, no defense, just avoidance. For the first time, my world was quiet. I focused on my new life with Liam. We returned from a short honeymoon in Oregon, our phones blissfully off, our hearts finally calm. After returning from our honeymoon, we spent the next few weeks settling into our new apartment across town, a fresh start in every way. Some nights, though, I'd wake to faint echoes of old memories, the sound of my mother's voice calling my name, the way I'd always run toward it, hoping it meant love this time. But love, I learned, doesn't beg. It doesn't demand performance. It stays. One evening, while unpacking boxes in our new apartment, I found an old photograph buried in a drawer, a family picture from when I was 10. We were smiling on a picnic blanket, sunlight slicing through the trees. For a heartbeat, I wanted to keep it, but then I noticed it. Mom's arm wasn't around me. It was around my brother. I was just there. I slipped the photo into an envelope and mailed it to Victoria with a note. Keep this for the case file. A reminder of where it started. Liam watched quietly. Closure? He asked. Not yet, I said softly. Almost. The next morning, I received an email from Sophia. Everything's clear now. Your name's clean. If you want, we can issue one final public statement. I hesitated, then typed back. No need. Some endings don't need an audience. But in truth, there was one last thing left undone. One conversation that wasn't about defense or justice. It was about letting go for good, and it would happen in the place where my silence began. A week after finalizing the legal notice, I made the decision to drive back to Ohio, needing one last step for closure. I searched my family's address online and discovered they'd put the house up for sale, likely preparing to leave town after the public embarrassment. I drove back on a gray Sunday morning, the sky heavy with rain. The roads were familiar, lined with the ghosts of every version of me that once tried to belong. I didn't tell anyone I was coming. I wasn't there for closure that needed witnesses, just the kind that demanded silence. The old house looked smaller than I remembered, the shutters peeling, the porch sagging. A single for sale sign swayed in the wind. My family was gone. They'd finally decided to leave the town that once defined us. Still, I stepped out of the car and walked up to the front door. That door. The same one she'd once slammed on me when I came home at 19, suitcase in hand, begging to talk. The same one where she'd told me, "You're not welcome here anymore." I touched the handle and whispered, "Neither are you." In my hand was a single envelope. Inside, a copy of the legal notice Victoria had sent and a short handwritten note. It read, "I release you. Not for you, but for me. This story no longer owns me." I slid it through the mail slot, turned and walked away. The rain started. Soft, steady, almost cleansing. When I got back to the car, Liam texted, "You good?" I stared at the screen, then smiled. "Yeah, it's done." As I drove off, the town blurred behind me, streetlights glowing through rain like ghosts waving goodbye. My reflection in the window didn't look like the girl who was never invited. It looked like someone who'd finally invited herself into her own peace. Back home in Portland, I placed my wedding photo on the shelf. Not the edited one for social media, but the real one. Me and Liam laughing mid-dance, my veil tangled, joy unpolished, but real. Sometimes healing isn't loud. It's the quiet certainty that you've already won. Not because they lost, but because you finally stopped fighting for space in a story that was never written for you. Before you go, here's a quick bonus for sticking around. If you love learning and growing like I do, you need to try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive deal with Audible. Your first month is completely free. That's access to over 500,000 titles. Zero cost to you. All the details are waiting in the description. Don't miss this one.